Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 13 of Changing the Narrative, a podcast dedicated to evaluating our philosophies on blindness. As you will notice, it is a very peaceful evening because Murray is not here. He had other meetings to go to. So I have actually recruited us a fantastic guest in a really good friend of mine who's actually in the Kenneth Jernigan Leadership and Service program with me this year. So I'm going to give her just a quick couple minutes to introduce herself if she wants to tell us what she does for a living, what she does for fun, that sort of thing. But all the way from somewhere in Wisconsin, welcome, Megan. Hi, Megan.
Thanks. Yeah, so that somewhere is Madison. Um, I do all sorts of things. I am a dog breeder and a service dog trainer. I make service dog equipment, and I also do pet dog boarding and stuff like that. I would like to get into more opportunities for writing and other things that are a little bit more intellectual than raising and training dogs, even though that is something I really enjoy. Outside of that, I'm very involved in the National Federation of the Blind of Wisconsin. I'm second vice president of the affiliate and president of the guide dog division, and then also serve on my chapter's board.
Very cool. Awesome. Okay, so before we get too much into today's topic, you knew this was coming. I know that there was a litter of puppies due earlier this week. Have the puppies
Yes,
arrived?
they have. They arrived on Tuesday.
Okay. How many puppies do we have, and what's our naming convention?
We have five puppies. It's four boys and one girl. And
Wow.
the litter theme is the Texas Hold'em litter, and they are King, Queen, Jack, Ace, and Joker.
Wait, I love that. That's so cute. I love that so much. Also, 80% men. That makes me really nervous.
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot, especially when most of the people on the wait list want girls. So that was a little bit of a wah wah wah, but they're
Ooh.
still cute.
Oh, wow. Okay, well that is super exciting. I love learning when Megan told me that she names each of her litters about a convention. I was like, when do we get the Bridgerton siblings? Like who's pumping out eight puppies? I'm ready.
Yeah,
The
I'll keep
mama
you
might not be,
posted.
but I am. Yes, definitely keep me posted. So I love that you've got such diverse interests, which is just a really subtle plug for Murray and I to have you again in the future on the podcast to talk about any of these things and all of these things.
Sure.
But tonight we are talking about blind sports, particularly blind cricket. Cricket not being uber popular in the United States quite yet, or as popular as it's going to get, hopefully. Megan, walk us through just a basic, like dumbed down version, kind of like you did for me, right? What is cricket?
Okay, so cricket is described as the grandfather of baseball. So when people came to the US, they'd been playing cricket elsewhere and decide to kind of modify it into their own thing, and that's how baseball came. So cricket is played on a large oval-shaped field, and then in the middle of the field, there's a long rectangular space called the pitch. That's about um, 22 yards by 3 yards. And on that pitch, there is a wicket on either end.
Mhm.
The wickets kind of function as the bases, and then the batsman is on the pitch, and there's a bowler instead of a pitcher.
Mhm.
So fielding is similar to baseball. I mean, there's
Mhm.
definitely complexities that make it different, but essentially it's just kind of a similar thing to baseball, but it's played more on the ground rather than up in the air. So when you bat, you're hitting it lower to the ground and stuff like that.
Got it. Okay. Well, I just want you to know, in honor of us talking about the grandfather of baseball, I am in my freshly acquired double XL Chicago Cubs baseball hoodie. So I'm getting ready for my season while we talk about your season. So
Well,
that's
fantastic.
always fun. Absolutely. So talk to me about the blind part of blind cricket. How does the visual acuity or level of blindness play into the sport of blind cricket?
So there are three different visual classifications, B1, B2, and B3. So the way it's described most commonly is B1s are totally blind, B2s are partially blind, and B3s are partially sighted,
Mm.
which is just a nuance, I would say.
Mhm.
More accurately, I would say B1s have essentially no usable vision, maybe some light perception.
Mhm.
B2s can see up to 6 meters, and B3s are legally blind but can see over 6 meters.
Okay. And what categorization do you fall into? And what does that allow you to do like on the cricket pitch? How does your level of vision or lack thereof play into the role that you get to play in the game?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm a B1 player, so all B1s have to wear shades,
Mhm.
blackout shades, and as a B1 player, um, any any runs I make when I'm batting are counted for double,
Mhm.
and 40% of all balls bowled have to be bowled by B1 players.
Mm.
Sorry, puppies have opinions.
That's okay. They're cricket fans too.
Proof positive that I really do what I say I do. Um, and then when I'm fielding, it's kind of similar to goal ball. There's a lot more diving and body blocking the ball, where
Mm.
some of the B2 and 3 players will do a little bit more, like just kneeling down and catching it with their hands and things like that.
Mhm.
The ball is the same size as a regular cricket ball,
Mhm.
but the regular ball is a very hard leather ball, and the blind cricket ball is a hollow plastic with ball bearings in it.
Okay, very cool. So talk to me, kind of roll this back now that we are going to pretend like we understand the sport of cricket, right? Talk to me how did you get involved in blind cricket? What was that journey like for you?
First, very critical part was pretending I understood it for a very long time
See, I'm
before
basically
I
a true fan.
did. So last April, April of 25, Abby and Drew, who are brother and sister who um, went to India in November of 24 to learn cricket, I guess October, November. They
Mhm.
went to learn blind cricket. They traveled around the US for the first half of last year,
Mm.
recruiting both men and women for blind cricket, and decided to form the women's team first because the first ever women's blind cricket World Cup was going to be in India this
Oh,
past
cool.
November. And
Okay.
so they wanted to have that team formed and be able to participate in that.
Mhm.
So they recruited. I got, signed the interest form, whatever, at our state convention.
Mhm.
Got sent a survey in May that was like, hey, do you still want to do this? Due to my life with all the dogs, I had to do a lot of begging and pleading and finding people who could cover here in case I made it through the full process because I didn't want to commit and then have to back out.
Yeah.
So in June, late June, I went for a Wednesday to Sunday to Long Island where I learned cricket basics. So there was really not a whole lot of theory about fielding or anything like that. It was basically learning how to bowl the ball, how
Mhm.
to dive and block the ball, a little bit of experience with batting, just enough to be like, hey, I can do this. That's fun. That's cool.
Mhm.
And then, so that was open to anybody, any women who had filled that interest form out. They did one camp in New York and then one in Cupertino, California the following weekend.
Mhm.
And then anybody who was pretty sure they could go to India if they made it all the way was invited to go to the second long camp, which was a 10-day camp from late July to early August.
Mhm.
And that was in Cupertino. I went to that one, and that was a lot more intensive training, some introduction to cricket theory, names of positions on the field,
Mhm.
um, just a little deeper dive. Um, and then they selected the women's team from that group. So I found out on August 11th that I'd been selected for
Yay.
the yeah for the women's U.S. team,
Mhm.
which was pretty fantastic because I'd always wanted to do athletics, but had very minimal experience, so it was really cool to make it. It sounds a lot more elite than it is. There were, maybe 18 or 19 of us at the camp, and they selected 15 or some 14 or something
Oh,
like that.
but
I can't remember
dude,
the
what a
exact.
what a time to be one of those 3 or 4 people. Oh,
Right.
my heart.
Yeah. Right. So still exciting that I made it from having, been sitting around, well, not really sitting around doing nothing. That's a lie, but not doing any sports before that.
Yeah.
Um, so they then had us go out to another long camp. Um, in October, the first half of October, another 10-day camp in Cupertino as well. And we learned a lot more, truly like all the game mechanics, and we did mock matches and all
Mhm.
sorts of things.
Mhm.
And then on Halloween, we flew to New York.
Mhm.
And then on November 1st, we flew to uh, Delhi, India.
Mhm.
And we had another like 9-day training camp there. And then the World Cup began on the 11th. Um, and the training camp was, so we could get used to the climate, and the terrain's different there. The
Yeah.
grass is a lot shorter on the field. The pitches there are clay, where the ones we practiced on here were like an AstroTurf type. So everything, the balls were a lot faster and everything moved a little different. And when you dive, you actually slide across the ground in India. So
Wow. Okay.
just learning a lot more, getting comfortable in that environment. And during that time, they had us play our first match ever against the women's Delhi team, and we did win that, which was super exciting.
There you go.
Um, in the World Cup, we like to say that we won every coin toss, but we didn't win any matches. So, but
It's the small victories. It's the small victories.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
and we're a 5-month-old team coming from a country that knew, most of our players knew nothing about cricket prior
Yeah.
to June.
Yeah.
The next youngest team was the Sri Lankan team, which I think was like 2.5 years old.
Mhm.
So everyone loved us. They just thought it was so cool that we were scrappy enough to pull ourselves together enough to go
Yeah.
do it. So,
Absolutely. So, a couple of things that I just want to pull here because, like me, a lot of our listeners are still learning, right?
hmm
First and foremost, I would like the record to formally reflect that women's blind cricket came before men's blind cricket.
that's right.
And while we love our male blind cricket counterparts, gentlemen, step back. The ladies were here first.
That's right.
I'm never gonna let Murray live that down. Murray's a really, really big cricket fan, Megan. So the fact that he's not here for this is killing him a little bit. Um,
Oh,
I told him that I was consulting with my blind cricket guru, and he goes, "I thought that was me," and I was like, "Stop." He's Australian, and I find him very British, and he's gonna be really mad at me for that. Um, so digging a little bit more into the cricket piece, you said you learned a lot about the positions in cricket.
hmm
What is your favorite position to play in cricket and why?
Um, I really like third man, or any of the other positions that are kind of back behind either the bowler or the keeper,
Mhm.
because there's a lot of effort, opportunity to kind of catch the sneaky balls and really provide that support. And I get a lot more chances when the ball does come to go racing after it and pounce on it, which is my favorite. So,
I love it. You
um,
sound like a cat, but you raise dogs.
yeah, right. So yeah, I mean, really, they're all fun, but I guess that it's probably my favorite just because it's where I was the most often. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So, one of the things that we talk a lot about on this podcast, whether it's in the realm of me telling Murray all my embarrassing dating stories or us debating the pros versus cons of like medical research into blindness or different things of that nature, we talk a lot
Mhm.
about framing a positive narrative of blindness, right? There's a lot of misconceptions out there. One of the things that really interests me in the realm of blind sports is the separation or the tiered systems of blindness. So I'm
Mhm.
wondering if because you and I had a really meaningful conversation to me about this just a couple of weeks ago. Um, how do you view the differences in those tiers? What has that dynamic, played like for you in your experience with blind cricket? And we'll start with that. Just kind of heft me your thoughts.
Yeah. So when I first started, and I can't say it's fully gone away either, but when I first started, I was really kind of put off by the difference for the B1 players. So anything I accomplish is worth twice as much. Also, I guess I forgot to mention that B1 players are not allowed to run between the wickets. We have an assigned runner.
Mhm.
So there was definitely and still is some frustration that rather than figuring out a way to make that adaptation, they've chosen to limit us. and I guess a little bit of feeling like, well, geez, if you think I deserve double points for hitting the ball, like how incapable do you think I am, right?
Yeah.
Um, and it's hard to avoid those feelings. And I really kind of struggled with that when I decided to participate. But ultimately, our team is a fantastic group of ladies. Um, Within the US team, I'd say there's definitely not really a hierarchy. I see it in some of the other teams and attitudes, but our team definitely really seems to value everybody for what they're capable of and not like, oh, well, we have to have this many players. So blind cricket's broken down. You have to have at least four B1 players, at least three B2 players, and no more than four B3 players on the field for a total of 11 players.
Mhm.
So our team only has one B3 player. We have, of the 16 ladies on the team, there's one B3. I have to do math now.
Good
There's
luck.
nine B2s and six B1s. And then, of course, they select 11 for each match, and the others are kind of in the, what's the word I'm looking for? The reserves in case
Yeah.
there's an injury or whatever.
Yeah.
So with that, it automatically creates a situation where it's likely that the B2 and B3 players are going to be intentionally selected more because there's a visual advantage to being able to see where the ball is. There doesn't have to be, but the way it is currently, there is. Um, so I think I got distracted and maybe didn't fully answer your initial question.
No, I
Um,
think that's a really good way to frame it though, is understanding the breakdown of the player abilities. Um,
mhm,
I think it's hilarious, right? It just I'm sitting here self-reflecting. Mind you, I think in feet, not meters. So I'd be really,
mhm,
really intrigued to reflect on this. I think I'd probably be in the B3 category.
mhm,
But the really interesting thing to me is I'm sitting here thinking from a logic perspective, if you stack your team with B1s who
yeah,
actually know how to play the game,
right,
you double the points. So why not? Like if you're gonna have the
yeah,
discontinuity, right? Like why not
right,
leverage it? That's really interesting to me.
yeah,
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit more. I know you and I conversed at one point about how you were able to maybe change some people's philosophy or encourage some people's philosophy when it comes to blindness to shift their narrative in a more positive direction while you were at um, the competition in India. Talk to me a little bit about the off the field action, if you will.
yeah. So culturally, especially in India, and um, we were in New Delhi, and then we went to Bangalore, which is southern India, and then we went to Sri Lanka.
Mhm.
And culturally, I'd say across all three of those, well, I guess India's India, but in both countries, um, attitudes on blindness are very much, uh, use as much as you can. Nobody had canes. Um, those who didn't have much or any usable vision were basically towed around by their teammates,
Mhm.
um, and very much like, you know, take them where they need to go, park them until you need to move them the next time, like parceled around.
Mhm.
And that was incredibly frustrating. I don't think I told you this, but when we first got there, we had to have eye exams done to verify our visual acuity. And many of the B1 players from the US team, the um, the eye doctors didn't believe we could see as little as we could because of how independent we were. They were like, no, you
Yeah.
have to be able to see more. Can't you see this light? And I was like, nope.
Like I just
So
know how to use a cane. Thank you.
right, yeah, it's independence. It's a thing we have, like it's
Yeah.
yeah, exactly, puppy. So that was fascinating. That was just like the first day we were there.
Mhm.
Um, and then outside of that, like moving around the hotels and stuff, definitely a lot of staff were very nervous and like wanted us on the elevators all the time and not using stairs and
Mhm.
wanted to, basically like carry us down the stairs, put their hands under our elbows and follow behind us and all sorts of, it was just a little overwhelming, and balancing like advocating for my own independence, but also like trying to be respectful of culture,
Yeah.
was very complex because I'm not a super confrontational person unless I'm really angry. So
See, but I can
I
just
was,
picture you like tearing down the stairs just because you can, right? I
yeah,
mean, you've
yeah,
got that level of skill. You're not doing it
yeah,
to
I
be a
derive
jerk.
much
You're doing it
pleasure
because I'm
from
like, this is
that.
my
Just,
norm.
yeah,
Yeah.
just kind of leaving them in the dust, panicking that I'm gonna fall to my doom. Um, so yeah, it was definitely a very different, um, trying to balance those two things, like advocating for my own independence and also being respectful.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah,
life in general, I think a lot of the time, right? Is we know the
right.
roles that we're expected to play and we know the roles that we are confident we can play. Um,
Yeah,
and sometimes it's a matter of finding the balance in between those things. And that could be frustrating. So
yeah.
yes. Okay. Well, I've got at least two more questions in my thought bank, and then I'm just gonna kind of open it to you to see if there's anything else about your experience that you want to share.
Okay.
I always joke with Murray when he's here that we're a low budget production. We had one episode where my light just like turned off in the middle of our episode, and I was like, please enjoy this music while your party is reached. Now tonight we're facing the reality that Murray has Zoom Pro and I don't. So I was like, oh, 40-minute interview. Here we go. Let's see if we can do
Yeah, that's right.
this. Um, what was your favorite memory from your time? I don't care if it's like in blind cricket thus far, if it's in blind cricket from your time in India, like what stands out to you? Maybe like one serious and one like kind of jokey, right? Because I'm thinking of
Hmm.
one and I'm hoping we're on the same vibe here with what the funny one is.
Yes. So I'm gonna break the rules and have three.
Please break all the
So
rules.
the really cool, I guess, serious memory was just that energy and elation of the team when we won that first match, and just the pride in coming together and accomplishing what we did in such a short time.
Yeah,
And they also told us that that team was like the sixth best women's team in India. So
there you go.
that was pretty cool. Um, Another one of my favorites was the Sri Lankan team took us on a tour on one of our days off, and they had us. We went to a park and a temple, and then they took us to the Indian Ocean at sunset, and we got to like roll up our pant legs and play in the waves, and that was amazing, and just so kind and thoughtful of them. And I'm not sure if we're thinking of the same funny story, so you'll have to remind me if there's another one.
I
But
will, I
um,
promise.
um, so there's little autos which are called tuk-tuks in
Yes.
India. Okay, good. And I was obsessed with these things. So they're like little kind of go-karts, like they can transport three people, four if you're optimistic. The driver's kind of sitting in the middle at the front, and then there's a seat in the back that holds 2 to 3 people, depending how comfortable you are, maybe falling out.
Yep.
There's no doors, and it's all just enclosed by like canvas. So it's a very uh, immersion experience, I guess. Immersive would be a better way to put that. And I have pictures of me just grinning like a big idiot in the back of them. It's like the highlight of my trip, and the driver's probably just like, "Oh, look at this dumb tourist." Um, but there's also a picture of me, the classic, sitting in an empty tuk-tuk in the driver's seat with my cane outside, like sticking out the front. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
um, and as we were going to gift shops and stuff, I had to purchase all the tuk-tuks I came across. So I have like a little kid's plastic one and then a carved wooden one.
There you go. So what
So
you're
yeah.
telling me is if there was ever a missing tuk-tuk in your entire time in India, you were probably guilty of tuk-tuking the tuk-tuk.
Yes, I took the tuk-tuk.
You took the tuk-tuk. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
We're the
yeah,
same person and it kind of makes me
yeah,
nervous.
yeah. I would always be like, yeah, I took a tuk-tuk.
I took a tuk.
Everyone was just like, gosh.
I love it. I love it. Next round of puppies, we're gonna have to name them Took, Took, and Took, and
That's
just
right.
go with it. Absolutely, the trio, the terrible teas.
There you go. Yes.
Love it. Okay, well, I will kind of just open the floor up to you. And then I have one kind of wrap up question for us, but I think we got to a lot of the meat and potatoes and cheese because we're from the Midwest that we
That's right.
wanted to get to in this conversation. So anything else that you want to just kind of express or, encourage people about blind cricket, even if it's to be a fan, to be a participant? What does that look like?
Yeah, I guess I would say our team is our youngest player is 19 and our oldest player is 60.
Mhm.
So really anyone can do it, and everyone was from varied levels of experience with athletics and sports and all sorts of things. So if it's something you're interested in, you can absolutely do it. We are working on starting regional teams as our goal in the next, however long. Everyone, I think, who was on our team initially is interested in trying to start things locally. Um, and we're also going to be helping to train the men's team as that team is built. So
Okay.
if you're interested, absolutely. Um, I'm trying to remember the website and I can't right now.
It's okay.
Because
You send it to
because
me
I
and we'll
don't
get
do
it in the
that
show
part.
notes.
I'm just an
Yeah.
athlete. I don't have to know anything. Um, but Cricket Association for the Blind USA is on Facebook, and there's also a web page. I just don't know the address.
Absolutely. Well, do some Googling. Do some Googling. Blind Cricket USA, you'll find it.
That's
You
right.
find the women's team first. Wink, wink, nudge,
Yeah.
nudge.
Uh-huh.
So, Megan, you know me, and I'm gonna ask the questions that are not gonna be the most popular to some. We had a really interesting conversation about recognition of a woman's sport versus recognition of a man's sport, and particularly with some of the controversial takes that are going on with the immediately past Winter Olympics. I want you to kind of touch base with me on what's been going on with the recognition of blind women's cricket, and if there's anything that we can do, our viewers can do to kind of rally some support for that women's sport piece.
Sure. So there's definitely been some conflict from the World Blind Cricket Council about if we should be able to be members until we have a men's team, even though there are countries that are members who don't have a women's team. So we get mixed answers on that, if that's true, if that's not true.
Mhm.
But there's definitely a lot of rhetoric about women's empowerment and all this stuff. And then when it comes time to actually provide that, a lot of countries just kind of shut it down and really just kind of want us to do what they say. So um, we're not settling for that. We're pretty scrappy. To find you got 16 girls who are like, uh, cool, I've got 5 months to go compete on a global level. I'll do it. Like, we're not girls who are gonna like back down from stuff. So
Absolutely.
um,
Absolutely.
it should be a fun adventure.
Well, I think that really goes to the notion of changing the narrative, right? Whether that is on
Hmm.
blindness, whether that is women's involvement in sports, um, you know, and where those two things intersect.
Yeah.
There's a lot of intersectionality to be found. So please know, I am in the scrappy woman category, believe it or not,
Yes, you
shocker
are.
of all shockers.
Yeah, I
So
can't believe it.
I know it's crazy. So if there's ever anything that I can do that our viewers, we can rally some folks to get behind. Don't be afraid to call in the troops. The
All
troops
right.
will be here, and we'll bring puppies and kitties and pitchforks and whatever else we need to make the message clear, right? That
It's a lethal combination. Yeah.
literally, but we're gonna give the pitchforks to the puppies and kitties so they can take over the world.
Okay, that sounds perfect.
Perfect. I feel like I would really be okay with that, honestly.
Yeah, I think it'll work well.
Okay, well, the very last thing that I will toss out before we sign off, and you're welcome to participate in this, Megan, if you'd like to. Marie and I usually do a resource share. So, something that has stuck out to us, whether it's blindness specific, whether it's not blindness specific as of late. I am in the middle of transitioning jobs a little bit. I am also looking at getting a new desk because my desk is currently a little bit too short for the height of the office chair that I have, and I like my office chair more than my desk. So, the thing that I'm encouraging people to explore moving forward is the standing desk vibe. My mom has jumped on this ship, and she said it's actually really good to take some of the pressure off her back. And it forces her to have better posture than I will ever have in my life. So if you have not tested out the standing desk vibe. There's some that you can get on Amazon that have tactile buttons on them. There's some that you can get that don't have tactile buttons on them. Then bump dots become your friend. So, Megan, if you have a resource you want to toss out, please feel free. But if not, I think that's all I've got for you, my friend.
I do have a little dinky hydraulic stand-up sit-down little desk that I can pull up to my couch, so I get
There
half a
you
point, right?
there you go. I love it. See, she's shamelessly plugging. This is why Megan and I
Yep,
can't be together for too long because we just bolster each other's chaos.
that's right.
I love it. Well, Megan, thank you so much for taking the time to join me. Like I said, Murray's gonna be grumpy he missed it, but like choices are choices. So we had fun without him. And I'm sure
That's
after
right.
he watches this recording that he'll be itching to get you back on to talk about anything and everything from puppy raising to puppy training to puppying, whatever
All
that may be.
right, sounds good.
Awesome. Well, I am going to hit our stop recording button. We'll see you guys next time for episode 14 of Changing the Narrative.